Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
An all-night effort to clean up after a crash in Durham is entering its 11th hour, and police officers surround a Fayetteville apartment complex overnight. You're in the right place for coverage of breaking news across our area.
She was the most wonderful child in the world, and she's done so much for me.
That pain is still so fresh for the man who lost his granddaughter and adopted daughter in a plane crash that made national headlines. This hour, he shares his story with WRAL as investigators reveal what may have caused the wreck.
And you'll notice some hazy conditions across the area from wildfires in Canada. We have a code yellow for today and a code orange ozone forecast for tomorrow. I'll show you the difference and what it means for you. And breaking news out of Ukraine this morning, a major dam and power plant have been destroyed. Evacuations are underway. We'll have the details.
A lot of ground to cover on this Tuesday morning as we keep you informed. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, thanks for making us part of your routine here on our Tuesday morning. That code yellow, see it all the time these months in the summer. Code orange, different deal. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. That orange almost looked like what the moon looked like this morning.
It did. Did you see it walking in? Yeah, it was orange. The moon was orange this morning because of all the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. A northerly wind is dragging that down into our area. And today it really starts to arrive here. We have a code yellow. As Jeff said, that's something that we typically see almost every day during the summer. But Wednesday, we have the code orange, and that's going to be an alert or an action day. That means that you don't want to overdo it outside if you're in one of the sensitive groups, which would be children, the elderly, or anyone with heart and respiratory issues. Now, it doesn't stop at code orange. It goes up to code red and code purple. So we're not looking at really a top end kind of alert there. But again, just for sensitive folks, you want to take it easy. We take a look at the airport and you can see gray conditions here. 62 is our current temperature. At the surface, we have a southwesterly wind currently, and that's going to bump up our temperatures a little bit for today. But in the mid and upper levels, we have a northerly wind dragging in some of that smoke for today. 63 in Southern Pines now. We're in the upper 50s from Rocky Mount to Goldsboro to Clinton, and in the low 60s in the Triangle. Hour by hour, we climb to 80 at lunchtime. It is going to be a hotter day today with highs in the upper 80s. Today stays mostly dry, but tomorrow a front is likely to bring us rain in the afternoon and overnight. I'll show you the timeline coming up, Brian.
Elizabeth here at 6:02. Breaking news in North Durham, where a crash last night still is having a big effect on the morning commute. Duke Street is closed right around Carver Street. That's where Michael Grace is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, where the repair work continues. Michael.
Yeah, Brian, they've got the power all back on here, but the big problem now is that there's two fiber lines laying across the street, one from Frontier, the other from Spectrum, and crews out here from both companies are working to hitch those lines back up as well as replace some of them. So I'm going to step behind the camera and give you a look at what they are working on. So right here on the left, these are some of these Spectrum workers, and they're actually taking measurements to see how long they have to get these new wires, and you can see that roller there as they take those measurements. Over here on the right, this is where Frontier has been doing some work, and they've got some of these lines hitched back up, but I did have a chance to speak to some of the workers. They expect it to be at least a few more hours until they're finished with everything. Traffic definitely starting to build up just a little bit here this morning, Brian, so going to want to avoid this area if you can.
Thankfully, there's a good alternate route to use, and that is Roxborough Street. It's in good shape in both directions there. And through the morning, we'll be watching those sensors through the Bragtown community, letting you know how that is looking, and also when they reopen Duke Street there at Carver Street. Around the rest of the Triangle, we're in good shape. Another update coming up in about 10 minutes.
Brian, thanks. We're working to learn more about a crime scene that had police surrounding a Fayetteville apartment complex overnight. New video shows officers over at the Carrington Place apartments on Tatum Drive before midnight. Investigators could only tell us that no one was killed. We've made calls and we'll bring you any updates on this on air and online.
Smoke from those wildfires from Canada, Elizabeth just mentioned a few minutes ago, drifting closer to our area. Now we're tracking it and how it could affect you. You can see the size of the smoke plumes from those fires in this video here on the right side of your screen. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us now this morning to explain who will be most affected by this. Laura?
Good morning. Yes, right now we are in downtown Raleigh. You can see the skyline here behind me. And when you step out today, you may also see a little haze. That will only get slightly worse tomorrow. Get a look at some of this video. What you're looking at here is smoke from those wildfires more than 1,000 miles away is drifting into the Carolinas over the next couple of days. As Elizabeth has mentioned, that's prompting air quality alerts. The wildfires are raging in the Canadian provinces of Quebec and Nova Scotia. Hazy skies have blanketed a wide portion of the country. Most of the biggest issues over the next 24 hours will be in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. And back home here in North Carolina, it's something to keep in mind if you have breathing issues. The best advice with tomorrow's code orange is to limit your time outdoors. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And breaking news out of Ukraine this morning, a hydroelectric power plant and dam have been destroyed in Ukraine. Look at this video here. This happened after an explosion of the engine room. This is in the Kherson region. Water is pouring out, threatening the lives of thousands of people. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in the last 30 minutes says evacuations have been ordered, saying there are 80 settlements in the flood zone. Almost 900 people have been evacuated from the region so far. But this morning, Russian officials are saying those evacuations are not necessary. They've also denied their involvement in this. Ukraine's prime minister also saying the destruction could threaten an environmental disaster. Right now, both Ukraine and Russia are both blaming each other for this attack, calling this a terrorist attack.
Michelle, thanks. Federal investigators will be back out at the site of a plane crash this morning in Virginia that left 4 people dead and prompted military intervention. They say it will take several days to comb through the wreckage of the flight that crashed in a Virginia forest. They want to know how the plane lost cabin pressure, likely causing the pilot to lose consciousness just several minutes into the flight. We spoke with the plane's owner, who says his daughter and 2-year-old granddaughter were on board, returning from a trip to Banner Elk here in North Carolina.
They told me that the plane had crashed. She was the most wonderful child in the world, and she's done so much for me.
The plane veered hundreds of miles off course, causing military jets to scramble as the plane flew over restricted airspace in D.C. Investigators are working to find out what caused the plane to eventually crash.
New incentive for school bus drivers in Wake County could improve the reliability of your child's bus throughout the summer months. Today, the school board will consider a $300 bonus per week for drivers who work every day during the summer program. It would apply to mainly the drivers who are already working with the school system. The board is hoping to get around 400 drivers to help out this summer, fewer than the 600 usually needed during the year. But officials say an ongoing driver shortage is making that difficult.
The bus driver shortage isn't just here in Wake County. It's not just in North Carolina. It's throughout the nation. So anything we can do to show them that they are a valuable part of our team, we'll give it a shot.
The school board meets tonight at 5:30.
A push to legalize betting on sports using your phone is just 2 votes away from Governor Roy Cooper's desk. The state house is set to hold the first of those votes today on a bill to allow gambling on college, professional, and other sports online and in some in-person facilities. The House Speaker has already said it has the support to pass. You'll have to wait before placing bets, though. Legalization won't take effect until at least January 8th.
Today, you can weigh in on a plan to build a tower that could reach 40 stories in downtown Raleigh. The proposal comes as city leaders look to fill a growing number of vacancies in the area. A developer wants to build at West Davie and McDowell Streets. The latest plan includes affordable housing, but only a few units out of the hundreds of units that could be built. Mayor Pro Tem Corey Branch tells WRAL it may not be perfect, but they're needed as some businesses move out of downtown because of remote work. Today's public hearing is during City Council's meeting at 1 o'clock.
Also today, we'll find out what comes next for the old DMV headquarters building on Newbern Avenue in Raleigh. The North Carolina Council of State will consider a proposal from the city to buy the land. WRAL confirmed the draft plan back in March. In the letter of interest, the city says it's looking to possibly build affordable housing, mixed income housing, and potentially services like a daycare center there. Today's hearing is at 9 a.m.
Can your elected officials switch parties after being elected? Democrats in North Carolina Senate want the answer to be no. They plan to speak about their new Voter Fraud Protection Act at 10 o'clock this morning. It calls for a special election if an elected official changes political parties. The bill also requires campaign contributions made to those candidates to be refunded. This comes after State Representative Tricia Cotham, who was a Democrat for years, became a Republican in April. That gave the GOP the ability to overturn vetoes from Governor Roy Cooper. We're at 6:10 right now on our Tuesday. A search for answers this morning after dozens of migrants arrived without warning by plane in California. Who investigators think could be responsible for the surprise that has aid groups scrambling?
Also coming up, the length of time moms breastfeed their babies appears to have an effect of how well they do in school. We'll tell you about a new study that tracked kids from infancy through high school.
7-day forecast, a hot one today with a high of 88 degrees. We're going to have some hazy sunshine out there for today. Tomorrow, we have a cold front that's going to bring us some showers starting in the afternoon and continuing through the evening. I'll show you the timeline and how much rain we can see coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
It is 6:13. Now look at all this haze that we're seeing here in Chapel Hill this morning. We're seeing this all across the viewing area. Some of that could be caused by some of the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. We're definitely looking at seeing that increase across the area as we get through the next 24 to 48 hours. It does look like some low cloud cover, though, shows up here on our satellite map that picks up that low cloud cover when it's still a little on the dark side outside. But of course, we're starting to see that sunshine now. 61 in Lewisburg, 61 in Fayetteville. Looking at some 50s out there, South Hill, Rocky Mount, Irwin, all in the 50s this morning. So it feels pretty comfortable as you're heading out the door. Walking the dog this morning, upper 50s to low 60s. It's going to be a hotter afternoon with highs in the upper 80s. Walking the dog during the evening, we're still in the mid 80s. We'll stay dry today, Brian.
Elizabeth, we've been following breaking news in Durham this morning. Duke Street is closed right around Carver Street and Fraser Street because of a crash last night that took out some utility lines. Take you to live pictures from WRAL Breaking News Tracker where that work continues. Both directions of Duke Street are going to be closed likely for at least a couple of hours. So consider using Roxborough Street as a good alternate route. We'll get an update from Michael Grayson, the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, coming up at 6:30.
Brian, thanks. This morning, investigators in California are trying to figure out if Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is responsible for an unexpected delivery of migrants. A group of 20 people seeking asylum in the U.S. arrived without warning yesterday in Sacramento on a private plane from Texas. Officials say the migrants didn't know where they were being taken. Faith-based groups are scrambling to find them food and shelter. DeSantis has not said whether he's behind this flight, but has made the issue a priority as governor. More than 3 dozen migrants have arrived on flights to California since Friday.
Back here, if you live in Wake County, your property taxes are going up. County commissioners just signed off on a $1.8 billion budget that takes effect next month and includes big investments in affordable housing, public schools, and child welfare. To pay the price tag for it, commissioners agreed to raise property taxes. So if you own a median-priced $400,000 home, you will pay an extra $130 per year. Now, commissioners say the decision to raise the rate wasn't easy.
We did not take that lightly. In fact, it caused me quite a bit of anguish. I had so wished that the revenue numbers were going to come in this year that justified, all the demands for county services.
If you are worried about paying the new tax rate, the county does have a program to help, and we have a link to that on WRAL.com. It is something all new mothers think about, whether to breastfeed their child, and if so, for how long. A new study tracked kids from infancy to high school and found that there is a connection between breastfeeding and test scores. Comes with a caveat, though. Ken Smith joins us now to share this connection to this study that was found. Ken?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeff. This is another example of benefits of breastfeeding, but we should point out breastfeeding isn't for every family. This study out of the UK, published this week in the journal Archives of Disease in Children, it tracked about 5,000 children from infancy to their senior year in high school. The children were were divided into groups based on how long they were breastfed. For example, not at all, a few months, or for a year or more. Researchers then compared students' test scores. Here's what they found. Children who were breastfed for at least 12 months were 39% more likely to have a high test score for both math and English. Also, they were 25% less likely to fail the English exam. Researchers also pointed out mothers with a higher socioeconomic background are more likely to breastfeed, which means their children have a higher chance of doing well in school. Renee.
Ken, thank you. A local woman's dream to help others find their self-worth is coming true. Tiffany Longs just opened Royal Lash Beauty Bar and Boutique on US 70 in Garner, and she's using her business to help women.
The mental health part, I would like Royal Lash to become big enough to where we can have mediators and counselors and financial advisors available to assist women starting over, women just not getting their bearings, young women who don't know, that need direction in life. I would like these things to be in place.
Her spa offers eyelashes, facials, henna, tooth gems, and small group networking. Read the rest of Tiffany's inspiring story on WRAL.com. It is 6:18, and as we take a look outside, we have different cloudy, hazy views out there, Elizabeth.
We do. Now that the sun is really up, we can tell what's happening outside right now. You can see that dot right there. That's the sun that has come up there in Goldsboro. So truly, we have a lot of haze in the atmosphere. Likely, this is all coming from the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. And we're seeing it all across our viewing area. So you can see it here in Apex. You can see it in Chapel Hill. Of course, you can see it. It looks so gray and hazy there in Fayetteville, right in front of our newsroom. So we're going to be dealing with this, it looks like, for today and tomorrow. But a cold front comes through tomorrow that should help to sweep most of it out. So for tomorrow, we're looking at Fayetteville having moderate, which is, of course, you can see toward the low level. So it goes good, moderate, unhealthy for sensitive groups, unhealthy for everyone, and just unsafe to be outside. Now, we tend to have yellow, and this is what we're seeing for the Triangle area for today, too. Fayetteville and the Triangle, the whole viewing area is under a moderate air quality for today. But tomorrow, the air quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups in the Triangle area, and that means folks who have asthma or respiratory issues, the elderly or children shouldn't overdo it outside tomorrow. But we'll see. It looks awfully hazy and smoky out there right now. This front may help things by the time we get to Thursday, really help to clear out the atmosphere for us. We're going to see some scattered showers late in the day, some thunderstorms closer to the coast, and we're cooler and drier behind the front. Here's a look at the big picture. We do have up in the upper levels of the atmosphere our air coming out of the north, and that's what's pushing some of that smoke into our area for today. For tomorrow, with those scattered thunderstorms, the southern part of Sampson County and just a tiny sliver of Cumberland County in that level 1 risk for severe storms. Most of us shouldn't have to worry about any severe weather. Let's walk through today. We're going to see a little bit of cloud cover out there, some smoke mixed in with that, certainly. We take a look at 5 o'clock. Everything's nice and dry for us for today on Futurecast. We'll move it ahead into the day tomorrow, and we'll end up with more cloud cover. We'll start to see a few light showers in the mid to late part of the afternoon, and then we'll see those showers drifting southward as we get through overnight, and they're out of here by Thursday morning. Not a lot of rain with the system. We're going to see anywhere from maybe a few hundredths of an inch to maybe a quarter of an inch, but not a lot of rain. But still, with that front moving through, should help to clear out the atmosphere a bit. Looking at a 60% chance of rain on Wednesday, and then our next best chance is Sunday and Monday. 10% chance that this system off the coast of Africa becomes a tropical system, but of course, 10% means unlikely. It's going to be a toasty day today with a high of 88 degrees. Behind our front, it's going to be a gorgeous day. Thursday, 79, low humidity, some sunshine. It's hotter over the weekend with a chance of storms on Sunday and Monday. Brian?
Just about 6:21 right now, and we are following that breaking news up on the north side of Durham on Duke Street, right around Carver Street, where a crash last night damaged utility lines, and that work continues this morning. They have closed Duke Street between Carver and Frazier, and it's likely going to be closed for quite a while. So consider using Roxborough Street as a good alternate route there on the north side of Durham through Bragtown. Right now, sensors are not indicating any delays through that area. Quiet around Wake County as well as we take a look at those live sensor readings. A 1-minute backup forming right now on 87 southbound coming in from Knightdale. And as you head in from Wake Forest on southbound Capitol Boulevard, seeing about a 2-minute slowdown heading toward 540.
Thanks, Brian. This is quite a danger on our local roads. Police are taking action to stop it. And still ahead, the coordinated effort to stop the ATV and dirt bike riders seen swerving through traffic in videos like this.
Plus, why the mother of an elementary school student accused of shooting his teacher could be about to plead guilty to charges of her own.
Then ahead on today, an emotional reunion 79 years in the making as service members honor those lost in D-Day.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Social media is having a field day with Apple's next big product, the Vision Pro headset, which mixes augmented and virtual reality.
Social media sits around, waits for the next field day, and here it is. Brian Schrader with What's Trending here, Brian.
Yeah, you know, they ought to go out and come up with something like this, right? Instead of sit around making fun of other things.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday. Now it's here. The price tag, though, has a lot of people talking. $3,500. Has people joking about whether they should buy one or a used car. Users also poked fun at how it looks, but they also praise some of the features that it promises to offer.
Yeah, you knew the looks would be questionable right there. From a business perspective, this could push the valuation of Apple to the $3 trillion mark. But I'll tell you, investors were not impressed. 15 minutes after this thing hit yesterday, stock price dropped $5 right off the bat. Yeah.
Tell you what, Apple is good at pushing things that we don't really need, but we get hooked on it, don't we?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe in about 10 years, you'll say, wow, remember when?
Past me had put some money into Apple.
Chrissy Teigen laughing off a wild encounter where she thought she had an identical twin. Teigen posted to Instagram saying that a 23andMe genetic test came back with a perfect match. And after some frantic discussions, she realized that she had matched with herself from an earlier DNA test that she had taken.
Yeah, so not some long-lost sibling, not a twin. Yet those frantic discussions included calling her dad and being like, Dad, you were in the delivery room. Did you see two of me? And he's like, no, there were not two of you. Calling her sister, you know, just wondering, is there another one of me? And then, yeah, realizing the other test result.
Much
matching
ado
yourself.
About nothing.
That would have been a story, though, huh?
Bless her.
Brian, thank you. You won't have to pay any fees if you adopt this week at Wake County's Animal Shelter. It's an effort to cut down on overcrowding. So many dogs have been surrendered or handed in as strays recently that the center is now near capacity. We're told 95 of those dogs are available for adoption right now. Adoption fees are waived through next Monday.
A busy road in North Durham is closed as crews work to repair power lines. Coming up, I'll tell you where it is and tell you how long delays could last.
Canadian wildfires impacting the air quality here in the Carolinas. Just ahead, I'll break down when we could really begin to see the air pollution and who will be impacted the most.
Here's a live look at Goldsboro. You can see the sun trying to burn through some of that hazy sunshine right now. We'll talk about when the air quality gets worse and what that means for you.